Hey, this is Notser, and we're in the Tier 9 French battleship Alsace on the map Warrior's Path. This video is going to be dedicated to discussing up-and-coming events, and one of those events being the Community Contributors Summit. It's going to be in St. Petersburg, Russia, and a bunch of community contributors from around the world are going to be attending. I will be one of them. I'm super excited. I've never been to St. Petersburg, Russia. It should be cool. I'm a huge history buff, so I am going to try and escape to see the Winter Palace and a couple other things there. However, I was curious, what is important to you as a community for me and other community contributors to ask them or investigate? Now, aircraft carrier is number one on my list, but that could be different from you. I would like anyone and everyone to ask their question, leave a comment in this video, and I'm going to try and take the best questions or the most popular questions and ask the right people whenever the time is right, of course. But aircraft carriers are, of course, a big concern. They need to be going in a different direction. They rely too much on the skill of the player, but they also rely too much on up and down tiering. Have you heard about this super cheesy strategy that's coming out of, I think, Southeast Asia, and now it's moving into other regions because people see it successful? Basically, you take an aircraft carrier, whatever tier you want to queue as, except for tier 10, of course, and then you take two teammates in a division who are one tier higher, and they are a full AA cheesy build. This basically guarantees that your team will dominate the air, your aircraft carrier will succeed, and you should basically win the game, because an aircraft carrier has a huge influence on the success or failure of the team. Their skill just can't be that varied. It has to come closer. The worst of the worst and the best of the best, they just can't be that widespread apart. And that's going to disappoint extremely skilled players, because they could use their skill to just run circles around the other aircraft carriers. But for the health of the game, it needs to be more in line with the rest of the types. You know, you've got the destroyer that probably has 60-40, 70-30, with the differences between a skilled player and a below average player. You look at a cruiser probably has 55-45, and then a battleship is quite literally 50-50. I wish I was joking. I know there's a lot of players that really enjoy their battleships, but their impact on whether a team is successful is very minimal in the grand scheme of the game. And that's not a bad thing, right? That could mean that this type, in particular, a battleship, is really good for players who are maybe just learning the game or not comfortable carrying their team to success. They're more a support player. They feel very comfortable going in with other teammates who are more informed. They have, maybe the battleship player predominantly comes home from work. They want to chill out, play a couple games. They don't want to talk to anyone. They don't want to socialize because that's all they do all day. That's cool. But we can't have a type that, feels like 80-20. The good player wins 80-90% of the battles, because it's just the way it goes. I mean, that's just a huge discrepancy, to the point where the good player can make hundreds of mistakes and still dominate a bad player. It needs to be more. A good player, obviously, their skill will allow them to win more often than not, but even the best players don't win to quite that degree, and they should be punished for mistakes that they make, more so. They shouldn't have such a wide margin where mistakes are almost irrelevant, because they can just produce godlike situations that completely wipe out an average aircraft carrier commander. And it really is a 1 versus 1. That aspect is very dangerous to balance, I think. And they try the 2 versus 2. I think that's even more unhealthy. I would really prefer them to move away from a 2 per team aircraft carrier. I just think it just feels weird, right? You either have to drop the aircraft carrier's impact vastly, or you have to just say to the players, you know what? You will play 2 versus 2 aircraft carriers, especially if they get it to a situation where aircraft carriers are actually popular. People actually want to play them. They're the least popular type by a wide margin. I think there's, what, 2 to 5% of the population play aircraft carriers. It's bad. And it has to change. I hope, if nothing else comes out of the Community Contributor Summit, we get a concrete understanding of what they want to do with aircraft carriers. On top of that, of course, the U.S. cruiser line will not be out by the time this summit occurs. It's obviously coming. I'm going to assume they'll announce at the summit the line schedule for the year. We've got, obviously, U.S. cruisers. That doesn't really count. There should be roughly 3 lines that are released this year other than the U.S. cruiser line. And I'm going to guess one of them is Italian. I'm hoping it's Battleship, but I think it's going to be cruiser. And that's okay. I just hope that their cruisers are better than the premium cruisers I've been testing. The Tier 7's very awkward to play. The Abruzzi or whatever. It's just awkward. The HE's garbage. And that's the case. It's going to be the case. The Italians are going to have bad HE on a cruiser. It's very weird. So players are going to just angle against them and take very little damage, right? That's what I expect. So we know there's gonna... We don't know. I'm assuming there's Italian coming because they made a port for Italy. So I'm going to say Italian cruisers. I think we're going to get British destroyers. And maybe we get Italian battleships. They did the French cruisers, right? No. Yes. French cruisers and the French battleships came out in the same year, or roughly the same year. That wouldn't be unheard of, and there is an Italian tank line coming out soon, which is cool. Oh, by the way, World of Tanks 1.0 came out. Would you like to see some games in that? I think it looks gorgeous. I don't know about the premium ammo. I'm really holding out. I'm hoping that they move away from it, because they recently added ranked play, and it works just like it does in World of Warships. Unlike World of Warships, though, you have a round that basically ignores the armor presented in most cases. And it does full damage. So you can guess what is being predominantly fired in ranked play. It becomes just really awkward. Of course, that's what players would do. They would spend any price to make sure that they have an equal advantage as their opponents. It's just like, why do companies try their hardest to lower their taxes in all these different countries? You know, I think Apple has a place in Ireland because of the way transactions work in Ireland. They can basically have 0% tax or some weird crap. So every single worldwide transaction funnels through Ireland to take advantage of this. It's just like that. If you aren't actively taking advantage of a system that exists, you are setting yourself up for failure. And that's unfortunate, because it feels really cheesy to me to see so much premium fired in a system like ranked and to act like it's not a significant part of the game. You know, I saw they were saying 5%. That's really cute. That's really cute. But I like tanks. I like military history. I think it looks gorgeous. I would definitely play some of it. And I'm just curious about what you feel. Now, one thing that I was also trying to get your opinion on. When I was able to stream, I was doing matchups and also down the line content where I would make a video that basically summed up each tier in 30 seconds to a minute. And I want to get back to that. It does require a lot of extra time, and I can't double that time with streaming right now, unfortunately. But I was curious, would you prefer that for something like the matchup show, or even the down the line, would you prefer that that information is sitting on top of the video in the background, or something like this where it cuts in? You would have some sort of text to bring you to what is being discussed, or maybe more information on the ship itself that you could consider. Obviously, it's rough, but I think it is a better way of displaying the content, the information, and still showing, you know, the ship, tank, aircraft, whatever, what they're good at as an example. And I think it looks good. I can, obviously, I just showed you a black background with my text color. I can do that up to look as cool or as boring as possible. It's more about just presenting the information in a way that helps the player base. And I really feel like it's necessary, or there's definitely an audience. A lot of you have voiced your opinion. Bring back matchup, bring back down the line. It's all because I can't stream. I just have to make time to play those vehicles and discuss in a small window. You know, obviously you can go in and check it out in more detail, but a quick, concise understanding of how they compare at the tier, the line itself, is it interesting? Does it hold up all the way? That sort of thing. So that's what I would like to get back to. But I would also like to, as previously mentioned, World of Tanks looks great right now. I would like to make a couple videos. I do see that there's just not that kind of content over in the World of Tanks front. Maybe I'm missing completely, but I like to treat it as, you know, maybe it's a hardware review, and you want to compare and contrast. You want to inform the viewer in a quick, concise manner, and you want to offer them all of the information that you have that they just can't gather in a quick time, right? I'm a community contributor. I have access to every single vehicle that's ever existed in ships, tanks, and planes. How can I use that for the betterment of the community who's interested in that stuff? That's the goal. So just let me know. I'm asking you a ton of questions. I appreciate any and all feedback. I really appreciate all the support. It means a lot. Every game always has someone saying something incredibly kind to me. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll catch you next time.